If it's not obvious, I'm a big dork. As a 37-year-old man who has a YouTube channel opening vintage toys, obviously you can see my G.I. Joe toy box in the background. You can see several toys here, some of which I've opened on this channel, others I've just, bought for my personal collection. No surprise that I'm a big nerd, dork, geek, whatever you want to call me. I remember seeing a meme a few years ago. It was this like hierarchy of nerds, and so it might have like Star Wars nerds down here, Star Trek nerds, furries. It's this big hierarchy. And I wish it's one of those things. Sometimes you'll come across like a meme or something funny you'll see on the internet, and you'll think about it randomly years later, like, oh, I wish I could find that again. That's something I wish I would have saved, and if they had a poster, I would have bought it. I bring that up because I wonder where Battlestar Galactica nerds fall in that hierarchy of nerds. I'll admit I know nothing about Battlestar Galactica. This is obviously the later line from Trendmasters from 1996. There was an earlier one that I think most people remember from the Cylons. They're pretty cool. And the Cylon Raider, it had some, I think there were like some missiles that it shot, similar to like the Boba Fett, the firing backpack Boba Fett, where it was recalled because kids would choke to death or whatever. So, they made one that didn't fire missiles, I guess. So, maybe by 96 it was okay to choke on missiles, or they found a way to make you not choke. I don't know. So I've never seen Battlestar Galactica. I've honestly have like no interest in seeing Battlestar Galactica. I know nothing about it, but I do like toys, and I do like opening toys, and I do like opening toys for you, and also finding toys that I like mixing it up a little bit, because obviously you can see here lots of Toy Biz Marvel, the Ghost Rider, we got Thanos, there's Wolverine, more Ghost Rider stuff. So try to find some other lines to not bore you to death with just Marvel Toy Biz. And obviously, I try to be budget conscious. I'm not rich. I don't have a lot of money. And so, try to find things in the $5 range. And that's certainly what this is here. Battlestar Galactica Starbuck, the Blue Viper Squadron pilot. He has 2 missile firing blasters and a Viper battle blade. He's got a lot of stuff here. And we're just going to open this up. So he's a commander of the Blue Squadron. He's got a helmet. He wants to defeat the Cylons. And that's really, I know nothing about Battlestar Galactica. So maybe in the comments if you want to, I'm not, I guess I said I have no interest in checking it out. I'll check it out. If there's something, if you are a Battlestar Galactica fan, if there's something that I should check out, I'll pretty much watch an episode of anything. I've been kind of, so just if depending on when you're watching this, so I'm recording this, it's May, I think the 14th or 15th, 2020. So we're still in the midst of this pandemic, and kind of on lockdown. Things are starting to open up a little bit, but also still kind of bored and don't have a whole lot to do. And one thing I have been doing lately is just watching random shows, like an episode, an episode or two of all kinds like 80s and 90s cartoons and shows and things like that. And I've discovered a few things. I really like Jim and the Holograms. I've been watching Captain Scarlet. I've been watching Supercar. Those are some of the like Thunderbirds, if you're familiar with Thunderbirds. Bump in the Night is a random one I kind of dig. So if my point being, if there's an episode of Battlestar Galactica that you should say, hey, check this out, maybe I'll like it. So just let me know in the comments below. So let's check out this toy. There is one twist tie here. Now this comes with a lot of stuff. Trendmasters made some really weird stuff. One of which was Zuka Force. I don't know if you know what Zuka Force is, but you kind of smash them and they shoot like a Nerf dart. I think the big thing that Trendmasters was doing at this time was Godzilla. And so the actual Godzilla King of the Monster stuff is really cool, but the like 98 Matthew Broderick film is not too great, but they made toys for that as well. So we have 2 missile launchers here. They've got little red triggers. He's got this It looks like it goes on his belt. We'll check that out here in a minute. This helmet, you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of Infaceables. There's an Infaceable character that has kind of a similar headgear. Infaceables is a very cool line. If you're not familiar with it, check it out. You like scratch their faces off. Alright, so this is his blade. What do they call it? Like a Viper Battle Blade. I don't know what that means, but kind of a translucent red. Almost a pink color. And then we have two different missiles. So Trendmasters, I will say, I mean, for a figure to come with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different accessories is pretty rare. I mean, and I think what really sticks out to me, that couldn't have been cheap for them. I can't imagine how much money they spend on that. To have two different missiles, I mean, you would normally have like 2 of these or 2 of these, but to have 2 unique missiles, I mean, they really went all out for this. So maybe that's why they're not in business anymore, because they just blew a lot of money on unique accessories, which, I mean, kudos for, I mean, I think that's cool. I like it, but from a business standpoint, I can't imagine that was very cost effective. Now, another thing that's interesting is these missiles are unique to their weapons. So this one only fits in here. You can see that it sort of has like a, you know, kind of the 4, I don't know, lines on it or whatever, where this one has 2. This is a little bit more like the Trendmaster missiles. If you're familiar with some of the Godzilla lines, they have a lot of very similar missiles to this. And kind of an interesting trigger. You actually push that down. It doesn't push in. This one pushes in. So kind of a unique construction. I imagine that this was not a cheap venture to do that. All right, so here's the figure. Now, this is where, okay, so I just discovered something. So you can see he has a battery cover and some holes. So he obviously does something. It does not indicate that anywhere on the packaging. Like, nowhere does it say anything about him making sounds or lighting things up or whatever. Like, I actually have no idea what he does. Nowhere on the back does it talk about that. It talks about not mixing batteries, but you see here, there is a button right here. I think that's a button. It's not doing anything. I mean, it's also, you know, 24 years old. And there's not really a screw for that. I don't know. So I don't really know what he's supposed to do. I would assume talk or make like a psh, psh kind of noises. No idea. Anywho. So he's got this knife, this blade. On the packaging, I don't know how well you can see that. It shows this knife in the holster, or I guess it's a sheath on that leg, but it's actually on this, on this leg, and I don't know if I put that in there right. I don't know what I'm doing. All right, so he's got his helmet. He's got whatever this is, and there's like a little peg on his belt. I don't know if it's some kind of like cell phone, like a flip phone communicator type deal. Again, I know nothing about Battlestar Galactica. It doesn't fit on there very well because it's kind of hitting his body. So we're going to set that to the side. Now, here's what's kind of weird. Okay, so this figure is... And this is kind of a trend, like, no pun intended, around this time, you see, like, the Total Justice, some of the Batman figures, G.I. Joe Extreme, where they were molded in these poses where they're like, you know, but, like, no knee articulation, and the legs are bent kind of weird. I mean, he has, like, sort of a swivel arm on this arm, but no swivel or elbow articulation here. So you can't really pose him well. He just kind of stands. And so what makes this kind of weird is that, I mean, he can hold these weapons, but it's just really kind of clunky, and you can't really aim them well. This hand is open way too wide. This gun doesn't fit in there very well. Neither does that. And this hand's a little tight. I mean, you can get them in there, but you really got to kind of force it in. So that's the thing, is like him holding this, like in any way over here is kind of weird. Like that kind of makes sense. He's like kind of in a holding pattern, but just a weird kind of pose. So I don't know. I'm not really knocking this line. I don't know anything about Battlestar Galactica. It's not really my jam. Those Cylons are cool. That Imperious Leader's cool. I don't know anything about the vehicles, but you know, he's holding it like this, and it's really kind of covering his face. It looks kind of weird. This one's obviously a little shorter, so it kind of fits a little bit better. But I think with maybe there is too many accessories, right? Like, just we don't need all this stuff. You know, they're obviously larger scale, so they're, you know, the paint application's pretty good. I just think there's too much, right? There's just too much going on here, and I don't know. So if you're a Battlestar Galactica fan, let me know in the comments what you think. Were these good figures or not? I mean, is it good likenesses? Again, I think the Cylons are probably the star of the show. I would assume it looks like that their visors light up, so that's pretty cool. But in terms of this guy, Starbuck, I don't know what he does, what kind of noises he makes. I don't have the batteries for it, but he's got a lot of weapons, a lot of things. It just seems like there's too much here, but you know, good looking figure, cool accessories. Happy to open it, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. And as always, open your toys and play with them.